Okay, so one thing I've noticed about today's day and age and the people in it are they have horrible attention spans. Nobody can focus on anything. People look at something, say like they're watching a movie, right? They watch a movie for like 10 minutes and then they turn the movie off and they go scroll TikTok. It's one of the strangest things I've ever seen, and you've probably seen this too. Like, maybe you're sitting next to somebody in school or next to somebody in class or whatever, and they're just on their phone, just scrolling away, and they scroll on TikTok for maybe like a couple minutes, and then they open another app and they scroll on the other app and they just bounce between apps, app after app after app. Nobody can focus on anything for more than a couple seconds. And it's so not helpful in today's modern age. Guys like us, people like us, right? We need maximum focus on the tasks that we want to do. Scrolling and these apps like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, specifically the short form content that each one has, are killing our attention spans and they're killing our focus. But there's a way to reverse it. There's this thing called meditation. I'm sure you've heard that word thrown around before. And maybe you have a rough idea of what it is. Maybe when you think of meditation, it's like, oh, the monks that are sitting cross-legged like this, and they're like on a mountain somewhere, away from everybody. I mean, while that is one form of meditation, there's a little more to it than just monks and solitude. You can actually practice meditation in your own home every single day, and I would highly recommend that you do that. For a long time, I didn't get off self-improvement, but I got off meditation. I brushed it to the side and I looked at it and I was like, this isn't important. This doesn't matter. I don't need this. And little did I realize that meditation allows me to focus on my work and it allows me to focus on what I need to do. Listen, I scroll too. At one point it got so bad that I had to put limiters on my phone. So there's this app called Opal, and it limits how much screen time I have per app, so I don't fry my dopamine receptors and I don't fry my attention span too much. Now, there are some times where I just take the restriction off and I just scroll for hours, and it's a really big problem. During the time when I was in school last year, I would turn that limiter off all the time, because I didn't want to seem weird and I didn't want to seem like the kid who wasn't on his phone scrolling. I know that sounds insane, that I wanted to fit in with the normal people and I wanted to be stupid just like they were, and I wanted to not focus and not think of things like they were. But it's not ideal to do that. And like I said, meditation reverses that. So I've been meditating off and on for about 3 years now. And while it's been off and on, I've learned the concept of meditation. I learned how it works. I learned how it benefits you. And that's what I want to share with you in this video. So, how do you actually meditate step by step? Most people sit and meditate and they're like, oh, I sat and meditated and I couldn't focus, so I quit. And I think to myself, I'm like, okay, if you go to the gym, right? And you get yourself under the bar and you bench press until you can't bench press anymore, you re-rack the weight, and then you say, oh, bench press doesn't work for me because after a couple reps, I stopped. Like, yeah, of course you stopped. That's the point. You're supposed to fail. And you're supposed to do it over and over and over again. So the people who say, oh, I can't meditate, I'm not good, I failed at meditation, it's the exact same concept. You're supposed to fail at meditation. With meditation, you're supposed to sit there, breathe in, and out just like that, and you're supposed to try and focus on your breath. I know your mind is gonna wander, especially if you put yourself in a noisy situation. Like, oftentimes I'll meditate in my backyard, and now my house backs up to a road, so I have these cars going by, and I hear all these cars. I hear the birds in the trees, and I hear my neighbors outside. I hear so many different things, and I'm constantly losing focus. But I'm glad that I'm losing focus, because then I can bring my mind back to my breath, and I can be like, okay, I lost focus, and I regained it through breathing and through remembering that I was in a meditation session. It's the same thing as doing bicep curls or bench presses or overhead press for your mind. And what that does is it allows you to focus on things more. It allows you to become more in tune with the present moment, and it keeps you from being distracted, which is huge in the self-improvement space, because you need to focus on tasks that you have to complete and you have to work on in order to further develop yourself. For example, if you're in a conversation, right? Say like you meet a girl on the street, or you're out for a walk and you meet a girl. You don't want your mind wandering when you're trying to have a conversation with her, right? You don't want her to be telling you about her vacation to Europe or something, and you're like looking behind her, you're looking around and thinking about like Fortnite or something. That's not who we're supposed to be. That's not how conversations are supposed to work. Wouldn't it be nice if you could sit and have a conversation with a girl, a dude in the gym maybe, or maybe even your parents, that you actually are present and you actually have a good conversation and you actually take something away from it? How fantastic is that? I know I would happily choose the present and more in tune conversation than a scrolling session on Instagram that ruins my dopamine and ruins my focus. And obviously with meditation, this is another thing that's very similar to the gym. First thing was people saying they couldn't bench press a certain weight for a certain amount of reps and they failed the weight, so they can't push anymore. That's what people are saying when they can't meditate. It takes time and effort, and the concept of progressively overloading in meditation also, as it applies in the gym, also applies to meditation. So when you're first starting out meditation, it'd be really difficult to sit there and go for an hour of just straight meditation when you've never meditated before. You would get so frustrated and so annoyed because first of all, you don't understand how meditation works. If you're trying it for the first time, you don't have a full grasp of what it is and how you do it, right? So if you're sitting there, if you're trying to sit there for an hour, you are swinging for the fences and you are more than likely gonna strike out. And then you're gonna get upset that you can't meditate for an hour. Don't meditate for an hour right off the bat. If what you can handle is 30 seconds, meditate for 30 seconds. Even if it's 30 seconds a day, meditate for 30 seconds a day. And then think about it to yourself and be like, okay, I meditated for 30 seconds today. How can I improve tomorrow? Can I up it to 45 seconds? Boom, progress. Now you're meditating, now you're on the road to an hour meditation daily, if that's what you want to do. It starts small, and then you build on these little steps over time, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It's the same thing with bodybuilding, right? If you're in the gym, you're not going to be able to skyrocket. You're not going to go from 0 to 100. You're not going to be like, boom, and get an insane amount of muscle just by holding a 5-pound weight, right? That's not possible. You can't physically do that. Even people on steroids can't do that. So why then are you trying to go from 0 to 100 in meditation when you have to build up and you have to progress in meditation and you have to develop that skill? It's the same thing with reading, right? There are so many people out there who are like, oh, I can't read a book. How do you think people get better at reading? They don't say they can't read a book and then they don't touch a book ever again. No, they actually practice reading. They actually sit there and read through their books and read pages, and they start small, right? If someone's new to reading and they don't have the attention span because of scrolling and no meditation to read a full book in one sitting, okay, then just read a page. Or if your starting point is this low, okay, read a single sentence of the book and then put it down, right? And then set a goal. If you read a sentence of a book in one day, okay, set a goal to read 3 sentences tomorrow, and then 6, and then maybe you read a paragraph, right? And then you just keep building on it and building on it and building on it, and eventually you're sitting and reading for 2 hours, and people look at you and like, man, how do you read for so much? How do you read for so long? Because it's a skill that you work on. Meditation is the same thing. You have to work on meditation and you have to be consistent with it in order to make progress. Now, if you don't meditate daily, okay, not a huge problem in the world. You should meditate daily, but if you miss a day, you miss a week, you're not going to lose all your progress. Sure, you might regress a little bit, but you're still going to be able to meditate for a decent amount of time. It's the same concept as the gym, right? If you don't go to the gym for a week, okay, your muscles might possibly look ever so slightly flatter. You might feel like a little bit crappier. And then you snap right back to it and you'll get right back to where you were, and it's like the break never happened. So try and be consistent as much as you can, as you would be in the gym. If you miss a day, don't worry about it. Just get right back to it the next day or as soon as you possibly can. Like if you're in a rut and you're like, oh, I don't, and you do what I did and you're like, oh, I don't need meditation. This is nonsense. I mean, you're killing gains, you're missing out on gains, but you can restart anytime. Even if you reset yourself to square one, you can still build that stuff back up and you can still meditate always. Meditating is a literal superpower in today's day and age. It gives you such an advantage over the people who are just brain dead and who are just scrolling on their phones all day long. People who are racking up like 12 hours on their phones. People have that. People have 12 hours screen times. Think about that. Think about how insane that is, right? Like, I could not believe if I had a 12-hour screen time. I would look at that and I would be like, whoa, something's got to change. Something's got to change. That's what meditation does. You're beating out these people who have ridiculous screen times and who scroll for their entire day. You have such an advantage over them, and I'm so excited for you. Genuinely. Now, what I want you to do is I don't want you to watch this video and just throw it away just like another piece of advice, yeah? I want you to actually take action. I want you today to meditate. If it's your first time meditating, let today be the first day that you meditate. And even if it's for 15 seconds, you started your meditation journey, and that's something that you should be proud of. Now, don't be silly and don't, if you think you can do more than 15 seconds, do what you're capable of, right? Like you wouldn't, if you're jacked in the gym, you wouldn't walk over to the 5-pound dumbbells and just and lazily lift it. Meditate for however long you can and then build on It's a marathon. It's not a sprint, guys. You got this.